Welcome to Cooper Life podcast number 2. I'm here with Sydni Wilt, who is a yoga expert, a fitness expert, and she essentially runs the day-to-day, the operations for Cooper Life. So let's just, a couple questions. Where are you from? How'd you start with yoga? How'd you get involved with yoga?
So I'm from North Louisiana, very small town, Bible Belt, Ruston, and that's where I began my yoga journey in 2013.
Okay.
And before that, I was a gymnast and a cheerleader for my whole life, and at some point wound up coaching them as well. So when I began with yoga in 2013, I pretty much knew right away that I would one day teach it. It just felt like what came next in my path of movement and teaching movement.
Yeah.
And so before I was even certified, really, I was teaching to the entire Greek life of my college campus. I was teaching to my entire sorority, to people,
You're
and
a sorority
friends
girl?
and family. I was.
That's awesome.
I know, it's perceived a lot differently on this side of the world.
Yeah.
But it definitely, they gave me the opportunity to teach when nobody else would, to a group of like 100 people.
Yeah.
You know, so that was a cool opportunity to have when, well, wasn't necessarily certified to do so just yet, but I was ready.
Yeah.
And so I got certified in 2014 is when I began the training.
So
and
almost 6 years.
yeah, almost 6 years now.
That's
Which
all?
it went by really fast. But yeah.
She teaches like she's been teaching for 25 years.
Well,
have you been practicing longer than 6 years?
I started practicing in 2014.
Okay.
But the movement to me came very naturally because of my prior experience. Mindful movement has been part of my life forever.
Yeah.
And teaching has as well. I always taught everything I ever did. And I went to school for teaching. I have a degree in education, elementary, and I haven't used it, so to speak, but I feel like I gained a lot from the teaching certification. You know, I am teaching, just not kids in school.
Wow.
And I have used the degree in indirect ways, like getting jobs that require a degree, but, you know, I think the teaching bone just fell naturally in my body from a young age.
Yeah.
So it came very naturally for me. I didn't really struggle with getting across words when guiding movements because it's something I've been doing for so long.
Gymnastics.
Mm-hmm.
Tell me about that.
So I've been upside down, walking on my hands since I can ever remember.
Really?
I was a gymnast starting probably 7. And right away, again, it was something that came very naturally. My family is very flexible and limber and kind of agile, and so it was something that I loved. I loved doing, and it was a very competitive nature right away. I was in competitive gymnastics, surrounded by a team of girls who were all really good.
Super competitive culture.
It's very competitive, and I didn't realize. I was so young, and I didn't quite realize what was going on at the moment. And then Bella Caroli, who was the U.S. gymnastics coach, invited me to his camp in 2000.
Did you go?
Y2K, and I went. And it was like the first time I ever stayed away from home for like an extended period of time.
This is so cool.
I know, it feels like another lifetime. And he's since been Me Too'd. So it's like kind of crazy to have been a part of it during that time when all of that was like going down. But I went to his camp. I made extreme leaps in like my own personal success in gymnastics.
How many people would go to the camp?
There was hundreds of people there from all over the world. All over the world, and they reached out to my gym and said, I want these 2 or these 3. And it was at a farm, there was animals, we had like dance parties, and they had like world-class coaches there who were teaching us everything. And I learned, like I remember specifically learning how to cast up to a handstand on bars there in like one day, and I've been trying to do that for years.
Wow.
But it just cultivated such inspiration and success being there. But yeah, that's where I kind of started movement, and then eventually I got into really bum knee situation, had multiple surgeries, and that's how I found yoga essentially.
Wow.
Not being able to do high impact stuff so much anymore, needing mindful movement.
So you suffered from injuries, like
many.
Most gymnasts do.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Well, you know, the knee came after gymnastics. I broke ribs, I broke toes, fingers, ankles during gymnastics. But I was so young, I just came right back, and the knee thing actually happened in high school
Yeah.
in track originally. And it just kept happening. I ended up having 4 surgeries. And then I could no longer like do the things I was used to doing at that time.
Yeah.
So that's kind of how I found yoga. It was a safe, mindful way to move with confidence and knowing
Yeah.
that I wasn't going to hurt myself, you know.
Man, the whole like this idea of Olympian or professional athlete it's you're like, yes, you have to be naturally gifted,
Mm-hmm.
and you have to have this like internal intuition and gift, but the body like needs to recover
Mm-hmm.
faster than anybody else,
Yeah,
right? Like
that's vital.
like the Olympic or professional athlete or like the triangle, right? Like the pros are this top
Mhm.
tier, and their bodies can just recover and recover and recover faster
Mm-hmm.
than most people. Like Michael Phelps,
Right.
when he swims, when he's just training, like a normal training day, he's actually recovering.
Right.
When like if I were swimming the type of yardage and intensity he swims on a normal training day, I'd be breaking down my muscle.
Right.
Right? So like
He's
I know.
conditioned to that point.
Right, but not only that, like he's conditioned to that point, but his body it's like phenom.
Mhm.
Recovers in situations where other people's bodies can't recover.
Mhm.
Where you actually need to be resting, he can be training.
Mm-hmm. There's definitely something to say about the
Yeah.
age too. Like as you get older, it's
Yeah.
a lot harder to just bounce back. You know, I think I don't think I could do anything that I used to do.
Did you want to go to the Olympics or
today.
anything?
Oh yeah, I
But-
definitely did at some point. I want to
Yeah.
go to the circus. I kind of still want to go to the
Yeah.
circus. I know people that are in circus school and they're just like
Yeah.
insane people. I don't think I could actually do that, but it was a dream at some point that I kind of let go of, so it's out of my grip at
The
this point.
circus.
The circus.
So like what would you have done? Would you have done the trapeze?
So maybe, you know, I mean, these days they have all kinds of different people in the circus. Like, it doesn't have to be necessarily the contortionist. It's just like this girl who does crazy stuff.
Yeah.
Or even acrobatic
Yeah.
yoga these days. They're putting some of that in the circus,
Right.
which is awesome.
Acro yoga.
Yeah.
Cool. Okay, so let's talk about like working for a Cooper Life CL compared to like a traditional yoga studio,
Mm-hmm.
right? So how is it working for
Mm-hmm.
Cooper Life, teaching yoga for us? How is it different than a regular yoga studio?
There's definitely a difference in the culture. You know, the first thing that I see there, which I do both, is that the population is different. You know, when you're teaching at an apartment, these people walk downstairs to a free class. And when you teach at a studio, these people are driving there, working something into their schedule, paying out of their pocket
Yeah.
for something that they really believe in and that they're dedicated to. And so, more times than not, in the apartment, you're getting people who are new to the practice, whether it's yoga or boot camp or Zumba or whatever. And so I have found that it is, I'm kind of responsible for delivering yoga in its purest form. You know, where that may seem like a lot of pressure, it's such a special thing to have to deliver to someone. Like, I'm solely responsible for showing them yoga.
Yeah.
So I better do it justice, you know.
That's good.
And
You're a
so-
good instructor.
It's really rewarding, and on the other hand, I love teaching really informed students as well. It's received in a different way because they have the capacity to maybe understand the philosophy of yoga. Something
Yeah.
that's 2,000 years old versus just knowing the Western side, the
Yeah.
flexible people in front of the magazine, which isn't the end goal. So I feel responsible for kind of conveying that message where I don't necessarily have that much pressure to do that at a studio because a lot of people know.
Yeah.
And I do teach a level 1 at a studio, so it is similar in that way.
Uh-huh.
But teaching the extremely informed and the extremely dedicated to the practice people
Yeah.
versus teaching the people that are just kind of showing up.
Yep.
There's a lot of difference there, but they're both so rewarding, and
Yeah.
they do something different for kind of propelling you as an instructor too. No matter what format you're teaching beginners is much harder than teaching someone
Totally.
who's been doing it.
Do you find has it been challenging working with a group of students that are just kind of walk down to take a free class. Like they're kind of nonchalant, you know, about it. They just know it's a free class. They just want to check it out. Compared to people that are, like you said, they're driving there, they're paying, they're scheduling it.
There's definitely a huge difference in the way that the class is received and in the way that they show up. And being in an apartment, I kind of take it like a challenge. Like, let me sneak a little bit of spirituality into what you thought you were showing up to, like, work your shoulders and your core.
Yeah.
You know, and so I do feel like I'm responsible for sharing something that they didn't necessarily think they were signing up for.
Yeah.
Whereas if you go to a yoga studio, they probably assume that they're going to maybe do an om or say namaste or like something that they're open already to experiencing, whereas in an apartment they may not be quite ready for that.
Right.
And it's important to kind of hold their hand along the way and to show them a little bit of this, like, I'm a human, you know, I'm not this like perfect guru type person, and I think when you show them your authentic side, like, I'm the human, I'm just here to guide you in movement, and hopefully you can take it off of your yoga mat at some point. You know, this philosophy can spill over into your life outside of movement, outside of this mat. You know, is an important message to convey, especially to these ones who are brand new.
I think that's an important message to convey, like, in all of life. Right? Just
as goes life.
Like, just authenticity. Like, we're not perfect. I'm not a perfect CEO.
Exactly.
I'm not a perfect husband. I'm not a perfect father. Right.
Right, and you have to carry that role into being an instructor, being a CEO. And then the transparency is enlightening for whoever's on the receiving end.
Totally. So, you've been with Cooper Life since really the inception. And I think you're still teaching at properties that you were. So Cooper Life has kind of organically come out of Cooper Fitness, and we'll kind of talk about that in a second. But back when we were Cooper Fitness, I mean, you were teaching at a Long Beach property. Yep,
and I'm still there today.
Yeah, like 5 years ago, 6 years ago?
It's been 4 years.
4?
And that was my very first teaching gig in California.
Yeah.
I actually lied to my parents and told them I had this job being a yoga teacher. Sorry, Mom and Dad, you know.
That was your first yoga?
That was the one in all of California, like right after or right before my move. I was getting the interview set up, and I'm like, Mom, Dad, got the job. I'm out of here, you know. And I've been there ever since. I've maybe missed 3 classes in 4 years there. And
are any of the same students still attending?
No one for 4 years, but I have someone there who's been there for about 3. I've seen a lot of leases start and end. Some really special experiences with that. No one for 4 years. It seems that the turnover of leases is pretty quick, you know? And so I think that they're in and they're out, especially being in downtown Long Beach. I think maybe people realize that there is a different area that maybe suits them better, that's a little more affordable too. So that area specifically, I think
that's a really
people
hard
are
area.
out.
There's really not a lot of industry there. It's downtown Long Beach. It's kind of this like no man's land between LA and Orange County.
Yeah, exactly.
Like Orange County has all the tech, so many tech jobs and engineering companies, and LA is the same.
Long Beach is like this little gym right in the middle. And there's a stark difference between like downtown Long Beach and kind of the Rose Park or Bluff area. That's kind of where the hip and the new stuff is happening, and downtown is just kind of like the outskirt where not like everyone who I know who's ever lived in downtown Long Beach they didn't realize what the area was before they moved there. And then they're like, okay, let me get out and go somewhere else. But I mean, everything is moving in there now into downtown. I mean, there's all kinds of stuff popping up, apartments and huge new library, and so it's very interesting. But lots of people living at Sophie, you know, in downtown Long Beach, and now there's 2 people actually who've been there for about 3 years in class.
Wow.
And it's been so fun to watch them, because I kind of think of them like my yoga children, you know, like
faithful children.
Yes,
class.
like brand new, they don't know what downward facing dog is, and then fast forward, they're like balancing on their hands, and they're knowing these poses and they're practicing it and bringing this conscious thinking outside of yoga, you know.
That's awesome.
So it's so wonderful and special to be a part of that journey for them.
Yeah. How many property managers have gone through that revolving door over the last 4 years?
At least 4.
More than?
At least 4.
So more than 4?
Yeah, at least 4. And you know, I sometimes feel like we as the instructors, and especially me being here for 4 years, are serving a bigger role sometimes in the community of the living space, because I've been there through so many changes. And I remember what the gym looked like before it was redone, and we remember what the downtown space was like before it was all renovated. So
I feel like we're even part of more of the community and culture than some of our property managers. At some of our properties, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Kind of being in there, and I'm sharing this really vulnerable experience with these people. So I do have like a different relationship anyway, but having been there for so long and knowing that they don't really talk to their property managers, and they have that revolving door. Like sometimes they don't even know who their property manager is at the time because they're in between or whatever. And so I think it definitely is an interesting place to be. And I feel like very much a part of that community because I've been there for so long.
That's awesome. So Cooper Life, like I was saying, organically shifted out of Cooper Fitness. We started this model about 5 years ago. And it was just solely group fitness, or what we call now social fitness classes that we bring to real estate communities. Since we started that, we were servicing real estate communities all over Southern California for about 3 years. Typically, I think 3 years. So generally, year 4 is when we realized that lifestyle is a huge piece. And property managers don't necessarily want to be throwing lifestyle experiences, events, touch point events, lease-up parties. So we decided to make the whole lifestyle piece one of our offerings, right? So we dropped fitness, now we're called Cooper Life, and we handle the entire lifestyle kind of the services. So lifestyle experience events, obviously fitness, we do videography, we do photography, we do digital marketing campaigns, we do social media stuff, we do consulting for the gym design and procurement of our clients, and et cetera, et cetera. So everything lifestyle. So since we made that shift, we have graduated Sydney into operations, right? Because we made that shift, we got more business, and we really needed someone to handle the operations. And the book Good to Great, I would recommend anybody reading it. Author talks about get the right people on the bus first, and that share your vision and know where you're going, and then find their seat, right? And that was kind of my experience with Sydney. She started teaching yoga for us, and the way she conducted herself and the way we worked so well together, it was clear she knew where we were going. It was clear that she needed to be on the bus. So we just kind of found the right seat for her. So she's kind of heading our operations, and she's obviously in love with yoga, still doing yoga. So that jump from solely just teaching yoga at a couple properties to now like managing the whole thing, running it,
driving the bus.
Yeah.
I like the analogy.
How has that jump challenged you?
In many ways.
Yeah,
a lot of ways. Of course, and probably the first most obvious one is taking on roles that I had never experienced before. If not within this exact position, no one would have ever given me the opportunity to be a graphic designer, learn Adobe Illustrator, to be an HR person, to manage 100 instructors. Yeah. And while I had confidence that I could do all of that, it was a brand new experience. So there was a challenge, of course, in learning those things. Yeah. But I think in what I still am challenged by today, kind of the more stark, heavy challenge that carries through day to day is learning how to sort out the roles. Trying to put my time intelligently into this little thing and this little thing, because I do wear so many hats that the challenge is learning how to deal with the stress of kind of an incomplete task. Yep. And knowing to put certain amount of work in something that isn't really foreseeable just yet.
Yeah.
Like, I'm very much a checklist person.
Yes.
I have this to do, I completed it, check it off, moving on.
Yeah.
And I can't be that way
No.
with this role whatsoever.
No.
And while like that's extremely comfortable and great for me, being in a position that doesn't allow for that checklist has challenged me so much, and it's made me grow professionally and personally a lot.
Awesome.
That's the biggest challenge is learning how to deal with it. You know, I can do it. I know that I can do it, and I do it right and successfully. But it's like how I go about doing it is the challenge day to day.
Totally. It's when I remember when you started managing everybody's schedules, right? So like you're running classes from Northern California to Texas or LA to Texas, right? And everything in between, and you've got 20 classes you need to fill, right? You know, phone's going off the hook, like you're stressed, you know, you're trying to put out these fires, and like, you know, I'd have conversations with you at the beginning, like, this is our business. Like, we've got the software, thankfully, the technology to use as a tool, but we need to get comfortable in this space, and you totally, like, you're nailing it.
Well, it took some adjusting, I think. And I think, again, like, the big adjustment was knowing, like, surrendering the need to check it off as soon as it comes on.
And controlling it. Like, we can control so much. And we have our systems and processes in place that, like, prevent 99.9% of issues. But when that, like, 0.1% of issues pop up, that might happen, that 0.1 across 15 properties at once. Ironically, it seems like that's what happens.
Yeah, it is.
And then it's, you know,
10 flat tires in 1 week, you know, it's like, that's the nature right there. And it's kind of funny because some weeks I'll wake up on Monday or say Sunday night, I'm like sorting out, like, okay, I kind of do like a mental list every night. This is maybe crazy of me, but like mental every night. Okay, what am I worrying about right now? And like, it kind of helps me to realize that I don't really have that much to worry about. When I'm like, okay, well, I'm really not worrying about that much, because when I wake up tomorrow, all of the classes for the week are covered. Then first thing Monday morning, like, somebody has a family emergency, there's car issues, somebody quit, there's all kinds of stuff going on. Somebody showed up to class and we're having construction, and there's always something. Like, when I just think I can breathe, like, I can't think that way, because I swear it just comes up. Like, it's this like weird pull and push of the universe. It's like, don't even think that you can relax, because joke's on you, you know? But yeah, it's just kind of taking it on a whim, like dealing with it day by day, and sometimes seeing out to a week or 2 weeks or a month. And learning the balance in between.
What is the most important thing to you day by day in this new role as operations?
Day to day, first thing when I wake up, if I'm stressed about covering the class, that's number one. And of course I'll try to go days in advance, like making sure the classes are covered for the week or 2 weeks is about as far as I can go. Once I am certain that there's an instructor in all of the classes we have for the day, the stress is off. Everything else is very pending. So it's making sure that I'm putting a little bit of time into something that's a month away. Knowing, because really quickly that's going to come up, and I'm going to have to deal with it on a short notice. Putting feelers out there for new instructors, because there's the possibility that someone that we have on board may not be available. So directing my time to a place where I'm not going to make a lot of movement that day, say on task A, but it's going to come up a little bit later, and if I can put a couple minutes into it today and tomorrow and the next day, then it'll eventually fall into place. So kind of trusting the process of making things work for the future, you know, all of those loose ends that need to be tied up. It's important to see the little corners of it day to day, you know. Beyond getting the class covered, that's what falls behind.
I mean, missed classes. So that's the worst thing that we can have, our missed classes. And how important is the hiring process?
Extremely.
Yeah, why?
Yeah. Well, I think the hiring process goes hand in hand with the managing.
Mm-hmm.
I would hate for it to be separate. I think those two roles have to go together.
Okay.
Because it's like, I remember what they were like when they interviewed.
Yeah.
And I remember the conversation that we had.
Yeah.
And maybe I don't remember specifically, but I know that's what I say to everyone.
Yeah.
There's too much going on for me to actually remember.
Yeah.
But I know the conversation that I had.
Yeah.
I know that I instilled the truths and the expectations.
Yeah.
And so when fast forward a month later, I'm like, but wait,
Right.
I think it helps to not only instill like what we need, but it helps to create rapport. And I think that is really important because we're asking things of people sometimes.
Yeah.
We want them to be on our side. Like, I want to help you out because you've done this for me and you've made it an enjoyable experience. So while it's like we do have to stay within the role of being the boss or being a manager, it is important to kind of gray that line so that we can create a relationship.
What do we do when we're so big to where there needs to be a separate hiring manager in operations?
Well, I think that maybe it should be regionally. Like, maybe regionally,
That's a good idea.
there's operations and hiring in this
In
area.
California.
And then there's
Texas.
operations and hiring in this
Or
area.
Southwest.
Or these two people, if they are separate roles, work closely together. Like, if it were me and someone else, I'm doing operations, she or he is doing hiring, it's important that we communicate clearly with each other so that we're on the same page. So when the phone call is passed on to me, final installation, we know that me and the other worker are on the same page.
Yeah.
And I think you've done a good job over time of being like, okay, well, this is a good process for now, but let's figure out a way to make it clear so that we can keep it consistent for fast forward 5 years from now.
Yeah.
It still works on a bigger scale.
Thanks. That's
the goal, right?
That's my goal, yeah.
Yeah.
That's everybody. That's our goal.
Yeah.
But without you and some other members of the team, like, I'm a visionary and I can think down the road and big picture, bird's eye view, but without like boots on the ground and like looking at the weeds of things, we wouldn't be.
We need all of it,
I know.
right?
Yeah.
The visionary is, it feels like it has to come from you, right? And so it's inspiring for everyone else, though.
Yeah.
Everyone who sees the visionary and the dream and the action behind it, it's not like you're not putting the boots on the ground, too.
Right.
To know that you have these dreams and then they're being put into action. And even for me, when I'm hiring people, a lot of the times I'll tell them my personal story of, I started with what was Cooper Fitness at the time, 2016. We all were meeting at Josh Cooper's house, having a team bonding.
Yeah.
We could never do that now.
Nope.
And we've grown now in size by over 500%.
Yeah.
That maybe has changed a little bit because I've been holding on to that number for almost a year.
Yeah.
So even more than 500% we've grown in size. And I was so excited to take on this role because I saw already what had happened in the 3 years that I had already been with Cooper Fitness to Cooper Life. The growth potential was so real because I'd already seen it happening. And then I started to meet with you a little more closely and to hear more what was going on, and I was like, okay, this is amazing. He's got all these dreams and he's actually making them work.
Thank you.
And so it was like, let's do this.
That's encouraging and inspiring to hear from you, because so we've built it, it's in place, the model's built, it's working. So now it's like sales. And as a head, like I'm focused on sales now and like obviously leading, but like it's high highs, low lows, and I've been in a valley. Like I've been grinding and trying to close more deals, and it's encouraging, hearing, like this is 500%, like. And then more over the last few years.
That's crazy, right?
Yeah, no, it's good for me to hear.
The transformation is drastic.
Totally.
Yeah.
So if you could say one thing to, or a couple things to property managers, what would it be, or what would they be?
Well, never underestimate the value of what these services can hold to your residents. In those waves of low attendance, when it's the holidays or it's the middle of the summer, those few people that are showing up, they hold so much value. They're making it to class when it is the hardest time to make it to class. it's the week before Christmas, it's the best day of the summer,
Yeah.
and they're making it to class. And even if during those low waves, there's only 1, 2, 3 people showing up sometimes, they value it so very much.
Yeah.
And I think of this conversation that I had with a property manager in Texas at one of the active adult communities. And she told me very frankly, these classes are the reason that some of these people are getting out of bed in the morning.
Wow.
And while millennials and younger communities may not be as liberated in sharing something like that, it's absolutely true. These classes are what's helping them to mentally decompress. That big exhale that they haven't had all week is in this class.
Yeah.
And while we aren't perfect as a team of instructors, we can't always be fully transparent. There are life things that get in the way, and in the very small percentage of time that we can't uphold our duty for that one time out of the year, the couple months, we always do everything we can to make up for it.
Yeah.
And having that transparency, I think if we could really show that to managers, I think that they could be a little more forgiving. Like, oh yeah, by the way, just to let you know, we're human, you know?
Yeah.
And I think if a lot of the times they do understand, but knowing that we are here to do whatever we can, to do what we said we would, to go above and beyond there. And then if life gets in the way, you know, we get in a wreck on the way to class, or God forbid an emergency happens, we're doing everything we can to make it up to them. And as instructors, if we have developed this relationship with the students, they're going to be okay with it.
Right.
You know, like if I didn't show up to my class, I mean, of course I would call the manager and tell them what happened. But if for any reason I didn't, none of those people would be telling on me. Like, they would be like texting me my personal number. Hey, are you okay? Like, creating that rapport.
You actually have an actual relationship.
Right. And I think that is so important for the whole foundation of the company.
It's not fitness on demand.
Yes.
On the wall.
Exactly.
It's not working.
Human. Exactly.
That's
and
good.
even like you saying, having a relationship with the students, like I've even at the class in downtown Long Beach, we've like gone to dinner, like walked to dinner together, seen the sunset, gone down to the pier, you know, like hey, like in a couple weeks we should all do something together, and everyone's like so down for it. And then you create this relationship that not only helps with them continuing to show up to class and seeing you as an authentic person, but it makes them want to stick around.
That would be, I mean, it would be so cool if we could get actual numbers and data, which, you know, that's like next on the to-do list. But you have 3 or 4 residents that have been continuing to go to your yoga classes at that Long Beach property. I wonder if, well, I know that they're re-signing their lease because of the relationship that you have with them and the yoga that they get to participate on site, right? I just wonder what kind of percent.
What's keeping them there?
Like how much of the class and you is a reason for them to re-sign, right?
Well,
and that's like so. I mean, it's
a hard thing to nail down, And I think you wanted to touch on like something special, maybe like some experience that I've had with being close to the residents or in the property, and I think it goes hand in hand with what you're saying. One of my students at Long Beach she told me she was re-signing her lease because she didn't want to miss that yoga class.
So that's exactly it. That happened.
That happened.
So it's probably $3,000 a month, or $2,500 a month.
Yeah.
Easy math sake. Let's say it's $2,000 a month.
Yeah.
That's $24,000, right? Their ROI on that is fantastic.
Yeah.
On one person.
One person, yeah.
Based on what they're paying our company. That's one person.
And you know, something so important to consider in that is she was sometimes the only person showing up to class in those low waves of attendance, holidays, summer, whatever.
She resigned.
She maybe was
the
only one.
She resigned.
She told me that. She told the whole class that. And then fast forward, I'm there at the end of that second year.
Yeah.
And she had to move. She was relocating for a job.
Yeah.
She brought me a bottle of wine. She wrote me a thank you note. She cried when she left.
Wow.
And like I wanted to sneak her into the classes continually because it was just so special. And I shared with them that, you know, as Cooper Life, we want to help create a tight-knit community through fitness because it is a vulnerable experience to share. And so we're trying to help create that so that people stick around. But I feel that it works for me too. I have created this relationship with him that I don't want to leave even, you know.
It's both ways. So what do you love most about your job?
Backing an industry that I support is invaluable. You know, waking up and knowing that I'm not working for the man is awesome. Like, I'm not helping somebody to buy their third boat. You know, like, I'm helping a small family. Within an industry that I'm passionate about, I believe in, and that I'm happy to support. That is invaluable. I love that it's mobile. I like to travel, so you know, even going home to Louisiana to see my family for a week, I can do that and have my job with me.
You can manage.
That's the best.
You can do your job anywhere in France, and it'll be here.
Exactly. That's the best. On top of just being something that I back, I'm not showing up to a job that I don't believe in. Favorite food? I've never been able to answer this question ever. Okay, lately.
So, because that's, I mean, food is everything for me. Like,
everything.
if I was wealthy and if I was, you know, financially free and I just had time, it would be
all about
surfing,
food.
golf. Well, it goes surfing, gym, golf, and then food.
And food.
But
that's
food is like
top
food,
pillars.
surfing, food, golf. Food,
it all goes hand in hand.
Love food.
By the way, speaking of golf, I've been on a mini golf kick. So, like, I haven't quite graduated to real golf yet. But, like, mini golf has been my thing recently. Like, I've hit at least 6 in the last, like, probably 5 months. So, favorite food? I really don't know. I always like to say...
Give me, like,
okay.
top 3.
Okay, so pasta, duh.
Okay.
Pasta, I've never been disappointed by, you know.
So, like, Italian pasta?
Yes. Like, creamy, saucy
red
pasta.
Sauce, like white sauce,
or
like
pink.
A pink rose
sauce.
Okay.
White or a pink normally. Never disappointed by pasta. Ever.
Are you like gluten free or you whatever?
Give it to me raw and real. I want it the real deal.
Do you like penne or fettuccine or spaghetti
all
or angel
of it.
hair?
I like all of it, but you know, I used to always say I loved angel hair the best, but like that's not the case anymore. I mean, I don't discriminate. Like, if any of it is good with me, but lately I've been loving gnocchi.
Gnocchi's great.
So good. Just had it 2 nights ago. And then I had it the next night too.
Meat or no meat?
No meat.
No meat. No dairy?
Dairy. Cheese.
So, vegetarian?
You know, I'm kind of shameful to even say this because I don't want to support the commercial fishing industry, but I do eat fish.
Okay, so like pescatarian.
Yes. So it's hard to put the label on because like I don't want to feel bounded, but
I am going on day 8, 9, 10, 11, day 12 of meatless diet.
Really? No meat.
No meat. I've eaten meat my entire life, and I'm on day 12.
Okay, how do you feel?
I love it.
Yes.
I really love it.
Yes.
Like, I'm not just saying that.
That's so cool.
My food tastes better. It has more flavor.
Right.
Like, so Hallie and I, Halloween. We went to some friend's house for Halloween.
Okay.
No, we didn't start there, but we got pizza. So I ate an entire vegetarian pizza before we went out trick-or-treating. And I wasn't like burping up sausage and pepperoni.
Meat burps. Ew. See, that's the worst thing about meat.
or like every bite, like a sausage pizza, every bite you take, it just tastes like sausage.
Yeah.
Like,
it's overpowering.
And I love it. I still love sausage.
Yeah,
I still
me too. I mean,
but it was interesting how satiated and satisfied I still was without the stuff. Because I didn't think, I was like, hell no, there's no way. Like I'm gonna enjoy vegetarian diet.
Right.
But
I'm so happy to hear that.
Yeah, I'm into it. I watched Game Changers. Have you seen it?
No.
It's a documentary on veganism. But they go into like all the professional athletes, bodybuilders, powerlifters, professional football players that are on eating vegan now. Like Tom Brady's been eating vegan for like years and years and years. And you know what's kept me from a meatless diet is this kind of a couple reasons. First, protein.
Protein,
right. Like you need your essential amino acids, and you need to get all of them, and it only comes from certain types of protein, animal protein, and you need that to increase lean body density, which is muscle size, right, and strength. That's not the case anymore. And then also just kind of like men eat meat. This kind of, this
barbarian, like masculine,
this stupid mentality, right? Like that I would laugh at people that like
right?
Eating,
don't let the purse hit you on the way out.
Totally. So I'm fully like I'm down the I'm starting the rabbit hole. I don't know if I'll go vegan.
I like to say that I will one day, but I just love cheese and wine.
That's an entirely gnarly lifestyle change. Like everything.
I think like it was interesting how you pointed out the fact that maybe you realize you don't really need animal meat to get your essentials. I never really thought, okay, I need X amount of grams of protein today, and I need this much of this, until I stopped eating meat. And then I was like, oh, I wonder what I need. So more than anything, like I'm happy to not be supporting a terrible industry that I don't believe in. But more than anything, it has helped me to become conscious about what I'm eating. I mean, here I am eating pasta. I love pasta, but like I've now become aware of how I'm getting my iron or my protein, and I'm having to stand up to I have a lot of meat eaters in my life. I'm from Louisiana. Everyone kills their meat and eats it.
It would be really hard. I was telling Hallie too, like, we live in Orange County. Like,
it's so easy to eat veggie.
There's vegan restaurants on every corner. Like, imagine like living in
Western Louisiana. Yeah, exactly.
And then even if you try to get a salad in those small towns, I mean, it's not necessarily great produce. I will say I'm very proud of the progress that's being made. They've got curbside recycling over there now. I mean, they're really on the up and up, but it takes time in a smaller town because it's not as popular for the demand isn't there as much. But it's a college town where I'm from too, and so I think with that there's a huge population of people who are jumping on trends. And then it kind of spills over into the community as well. So I think that slowly there are going to be more accessible ways to be vegan or veggie there. But it's just the culture that is not on board, Culture is the hardest thing to change in everything.
Of course.
For everything. Well, one more point about the game changers and like this research I've been doing about vegetarianism. It's interesting, like, whatever health benefit a person is trying to achieve, whether it's reduction of body fat, whether it's increased muscle fiber size, whether it's reduction in cholesterol, or reduce your blood pressure, like whatever the health benefit, the one diet that achieves all of those motivations or objectives is a vegetarian diet, right? Like across the board, every doctor, every study, if you want to reduce your cholesterol, reduce your blood pressure,
eat plants.
If you want to reduce your body fat, like you can do ketogenic dieting, right? You will reduce your body fat, you will reduce your scale weight, right? However, like the adverse effects are increased cholesterol. If you've already have a cholesterol issue, you can't even touch a ketogenic diet, right? So like vegetarianism literally like is the answer to all of these like these health benefits that people are seeking, and I just it's taken me so long to.
I'm so happy to
and well, I'll probably be off the train in a week. That's just kind of how.
Have you had so much fun though with like planning out your meals and you're like, okay, well, how do I get protein on this plate now? And it's, I mean, lots of beans in my life.
Oh yeah, that's fun.
Lots of beans. Love beans.
Yeah, and I mean, I'm into it right now. I'm definitely a bandwagoner with these things. So I mean, I hope I love how I feel. I hope it sticks. We'll see.
Awesome.
Okay, favorite ice cream and flavor.
Okay, I'm gonna be complicated on this one too. I never have been an ice cream person until I moved to California and met Creamistry.
Yep.
That's the best ice cream I've ever had in my life.
It's the creamiest.
Why?
Have you had the
Don't even tell me.
cookie butter?
Yes, that's the one. That's the one. It's so good.
Cream of Street. Okay.
Oh, I love cream of Street. But lately I've been into nice cream. I've been making nice cream. Yeah. It's just kind of what I called it, but just like basically a smoothie with very little liquid, and then it's like a frozen banana and like blueberries.
Super thick.
And maybe sometimes I put dates in there.
With a spoon?
Yes.
Yeah.
It's literally ice cream, but it's nice cream because there's no dairy.
Because it's all fruit.
Yes, it's all fruit. So try it out, blend it up, little liquid, frozen banana, fruit, maybe a date, because then you get this whole caramel effect that's just out of this world.
All right. Favorite dessert food item?
Warm chocolate chip cookies.
Yeah. I think that's
no contest.
I think you're right.
Who doesn't? I mean,
I know. Me and Hallie go back and forth. Hallie, like, what are we gonna bring to dinner parties, or what is like the best
dessert.
the best that like gets the best applause, right?
All the cookies are gone.
It's always.
I love cheesecake too.
Yeah.
Cookies are so good. I love dessert. I wish I hated it.
Yeah.
But that's just not the truth. I love dessert. I can eat it for every meal.
Yeah.
Recently, Austin brought back a lot of candies from France.
Yeah.
I've been eating French candies every day.
Yeah.
I gotta get off of that, but love all the desserts too. Yeah, exactly. A little extra motivation.
Okay, so was there another question?
Maybe I can highlight on some additional inspiration or,
some highlights.
Yeah, some highlights. I think that, for one, I wish I knew everything about your vision when I was an instructor. I was dedicated, but I sometimes wish that everyone on board with us could know the full direction, because I think they would be really inspired and motivated.
Yeah.
For me, I was dedicated anyway, and a lot of our instructors are dedicated regardless of knowing much.
Yeah.
I try to convey as much as I can when I bring them on board, but some of them that have been on since before my time in operations are still around, but maybe they don't necessarily know. And I think sometimes they may catch on, like when my email sign-off signature changed.
Yeah.
I had 2 instructors email me and say, "Congrats on the raise, you deserve it." And I'm like, "Oh, thanks for noticing, thank you." And I wanted to give them a little recap of why that was a necessary upgrade because of our growth, and it's thanks to them being the pillars of the company. Yes, we're trying to move and grow forward, but part of that is maintaining the foundation, which is why creating rapport with the instructors is so important. Because if we're just constantly having to backtrack and replace, it's harder to move forward. So that's important. But I think when I began in operations, it was of course overwhelming at first, but once we got into the routine of meetings and getting on kind of our schedule of getting in touch with each other and sharing what can we do to make things better, and hearing, once a month I'm hearing something new about Cooper Life that I didn't know. There's this limb or this branch or this thing. I'm like, what? Where did all this come from? And every time I leave a meeting, I am so inspired. Maybe the day before that, it's been a whole month and I'm bogged down by the fact that there's 12 open shifts and I've got 20 interviews to watch and all these flyers to make. But I leave the meeting and I'm like, let's do this. Because I'm happy to be working for someone who is inspired and motivated to move forward. For everyone, to work under someone who shows that, who exudes the potential because you have the drive is so amazing to be a part of. And if everyone knew that, they'd be like, give me more classes. Let me take that class tonight,
Maybe we just start making videos, me just talking to the camera.
Yeah, and sharing.
I think everything, all that's valid. People want to follow people that, thank you. I'm not saying all the compliments are super valid, right? That, I'm super flattered, and I'm stoked that you think so highly about the company and myself.
Absolutely. I mean, it would suck to work for somebody who like is running this business and wants to get it lifted higher off the ground, but they have no motivation. Like, of course, it's a necessary quality, so of course you have it. But oftentimes, I think I've worked under people that are stagnant because they're in this established place, and being a part of a startup is very different. You know,
and it's an interesting model too. I mean, we've got over 100 contractors spread from Dallas, Texas to LA. So like if we I mean, we could get together once a week and everybody could know our vision and meet with management. We could establish these relationships and have these conversations. It would be much easier since everybody's spread out. I mean, I think maybe that's like next on our management meetings. Like we figure out a way to hit everybody, right? Like
kind of like a regional
communicate to
gathering.
everybody, letting them know our vision, letting them know how appreciated we are to have them. Touching our instructors, not just and our contractors, not just when
we need them. Yeah. And I think some of the people who see the bigger picture, it's because of like them being that way as a person. You know, like, hey, I saw more jobs being posted for Cooper Life. Looks like we're expanding. I'm happy to be a part of this. And it's like those are the people who just kind of have that initially, that are more so the dedicated ones, who really care for the company they're working for, where some, and it's okay to be this way, but where some are just kind of here for the class. And that's okay, you know, we need them all. But I do think there is something to say about all these people are passionate about what they do, or they wouldn't be doing it. You are passionate about your movement enough to the degree that you want to share it with other people. It's kind of like a really good food. Like, oh, you've never had this before?
It's like cookie butter from Queen Street.
Yes, exactly. Like, especially with your family and your friends, because they're the people you love the most. It's like, you have to have this cookie butter. It will change your life.
Yeah, it will.
And that's how I think all of our instructors feel about their formats. They want to share it because they love it and it helped them so much, or it tasted so good, you know? And so the drive is there, but I think sometimes that extra push is knowing that they're working for a company that is not the man, you know? They're supporting an industry that is...
You sound like a Gen Xer. She's a millennial. But I guess millennials they're not. Are they all about institutions and like, or they're kind of?
I mean, I don't. I mean, normally I don't even drink Starbucks because I don't want to support the man.
Okay.
But you know, I think a Gen X. Yeah, I kind of do sound like a Gen Xer. But you know, like not supporting Walmart or whatever. You know, and sometimes there's not an option, like, and you have to. But I think knowing that, and maybe it's my job to help people see that, like these instructors who maybe 50-year-old instructor who has like this millennial calling them and like thanking them or having this conversation or whatever, and it's like, by the way, like, you're not supporting the man with this. Maybe it is my job to convey that message to some of them who don't think that way initially.
Well, maybe they are, because I brought the Starbucks.
Right?
I mean, it's convenient, right? How convenient is it?
So convenient. It really is.
I hear what you're saying. I dig it.
That's why you're a Portola man, you know.
But I am Portola. We partner. Portola.
Love it.
Okay. Podcast number 2, Cooper Life. Thanks for tuning in. Do you have anything else to say?
Thank you.
No?
That's all from me.
Okay. We'll catch you on the next one. Thank you.
All right.